Greetings, cosmic stabilizers. Welcome to our live for this week. Um, it's live over here, so if you hear things in the background, it's because a Mother's Day party is going on. But I must still be obligated, or I must still be loyal and faithful to the obligations that I've set forth for myself, and that's to be here for you and to help you stream through on the things that you're wanting to build. Okay, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. I am a mother myself. My son will be 20 this year, so that's pretty exciting. Pretty doggone exciting, actually. And for all the mothers out there, I mean, it's it is real. It is real out here in these parenting streets. And whether you're parenting your own children or someone else's children or your digital babies, parenting is something that requires dedication and consistency. Okay. And authenticity and accountability. And today we're going to talk about some of the things that get in the way of being able to be consistent, right? And so I'm just going to look at my notes here. Today, our live build is going to be building your internal system. And then as we progress through the week, you'll see me build the live system from here. But as I was getting grounded for today, I was realizing I wasn't ready to present a live build from where we are at right now. Okay. We already have areas covered of people teaching AI in so many different forms, okay, on how to build different type of systems. So I don't want to be redundant, especially in Zion, okay? I want to be someone who provides a gap that's needed, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now, okay? So we have AI labs, we have the hackathon, all really great things, but what we need is something to help us to be more stable internally when there's a lot of different shifts going on. And that's the area that I'm targeting right now is how to be consistent when your environment shifts, when your stability is moving in different ways that you didn't plan for. Okay. So let me just pull up some slides real quick and we're going to walk through this. It's not going to be a long live at all today. So I'm going to share my screen. And plug up my system. I guess I don't need that computer on right now anyway, so that's fine. I hope you all are having a really, really, really great day. Um, Perfect. Now let me share my screen. Let me make sure I put it on the stage, right? Okay. Okay, so for everyone who has seen this gold map, right? Let's see if I can zoom in on here. I can't. If you want the download, just send me a message and you can get the download or you can scan this QR code to a system that I built last week. Okay. But I'm not really selling anything today. I want to get you stabilized. That's what's going on today. So there are 5 different interruptions that usually happen when your signal is becoming unstable. And when I say signal, I want to be clear on what that is. That's usually like the message that's coming through from God about what to do is kind of like your spiritual GPS system. It's like, this is the way to go. This is what's coming. This is what's going on this week. And this is what you need to build. This is how you need to think. This is what you need to do. And oftentimes we don't listen to that or follow through because there are other things that come up. And that's an issue. Okay. Because yes, we do need some things that are linear, right? Like we need a step 1, a step 2, step 3, step 4. But what happens when something interrupts those steps? That's what I really want to embed into your spirit today. What do you do when something is interrupting the steps? What do you do when something interrupts your plan? What do you do when your environment becomes unstable? And then you're like, oh, what do I do? And especially for neurodivergent people, I'm neurodivergent with autism through a self diagnosis. I've never been clinically diagnosed, right? But I know that when I work well off of systems, I work well off of knowing what's going to come next. And sometimes if things don't happen in a flow of my expectation, it could really throw me off. And I'm like, oh, sugar snaps, what am I supposed to do now? Oh, but then that's when God comes in. And God says, I know you were expecting this, but this is the new route. This is the new way to go. And this is what this is so important. If I didn't put up a slide, if I didn't build a system, if I didn't say nothing else, this is the real value that I have to give you today is you have to remember who you are as God being embodied in your body. Okay? Because we can get so caught up in building the systems and the tools, right? But if we are not building our innate spiritual nature at the same time, all we're going to do is become a machine. And machines can be replaced. What makes you irreplaceable is your ability to tap into something that's not connected to wires, that's not connected to an application, that's not connected to a digital motherboard. Okay? Your ability to tap into God's source, that's really what makes you valuable in this age that we are in this era that we are transitioning into. And as Queen Mama Moon, that is my responsibility and my dedication to help prepare you for this. Because how you treat your mind and how you treat your spirit is your real gold. That is the real gold map. That is the real value. That is how you're going to be able to navigate through all the tools, through all the systems, through all the different currency changes. Okay? So it's imperative that you know how to be modular, how to move and shift and not get stuck when things are not going your way or when things are not going the way that you expected them to. Okay? So let's just move forward because I know that screen's a little bit hard to read. But most creators are not inconsistent because they've lost their mojo. Okay. Most creators, their signal keeps getting interrupted. And something that I've been saying recently is all delays are in my favor, right? Anything that doesn't go the way that I expect it to, it's my job to find the blessing in it. Okay. It's my job to look for the wealth. It's my job to figure out how I'm going to multiply this situation into something that can be used and still be fruitful, right? When the platform changes, when the people changes, when the opportunities change, how do you still be consistent? You have to have something that's keeping you grounded. And that's what the MVP3 is for, right? You have to have a mission, you have to have a vision, you have to have purpose, you have values. Because when things shift, when the applications shift, when there is a vulnerability in your security protocols, you have to say, what is it that we're doing here? How do I know what's the thread that's actually keeping us together, that's keeping us focused, that's keeping us aligned, that's keeping us moving, that's keeping this ship going, right? If you don't have that, then it will be so easy to just fall apart when the world is falling all around you. But as gods, it is our responsibility to be the stable factor when there's so much instability all around us. As gods, it is our responsibility to be the light when there's so much darkness around us. Okay? Because there is light in the darkness. That is us. We are stars that come from nothing, that appear to be nothing. And so we have to learn how to magnetize that divine birthright from that which we have come from, the source that which we have come from, into this physical manifested reality here and now, regardless of what's going on, regardless of what we have available. Okay? So the five interruption points that happen are emotional static. So emotional static is usually that's when you're feeling yourself shifting through frequencies. Okay, when you're stable and you have a really stable frequency, so let's say you're in the frequency of abundance, financial abundance, right? Things are flowing, money's flowing, the clients are coming, people are buying your product, they're buying your services. Um, let's say even if you're not at that point right now, but you have a job, maybe that's where you're at right now. But then all of a sudden, the job starts acting up, the clients start acting up, right? That can cause an emotional static because now your frequency is starting to shift. All of these interruption points, they are all signals of a frequency shift. Okay. They're all signs that there is some instability in your frequency. And that doesn't always mean it needs to be bad, okay? Because as gods, our perspective, our imagination, where you put your intention and your belief, that is actually what's going to create and manifest. This is so far beyond your tech. This is so far beyond your AI because we are gods. We are powerful. Our word literally creates, okay? And this is what I'm here to remind you about, okay? As you're building the tools, you need to also build the power of your word. As you are building the systems, you also need to build the power of your emotional and spiritual stability, that foundation that's going to hold you, regardless of who is supporting you and who is not supporting you, who sees you and who does not see you, who respects you and who does not respect, who responds and who does not respond. That should not take away who you are as God. But oftentimes we do let those things make us unstable. So you need to recognize what is threatening my God power right now. You have to ask yourself that. Is it emotional static? Am I emotionally unstable? And that's the doubt, that's the fear, that's the comparison. Looking at everybody else around you, you got to figure out what it is. Because the moment you feel static, the moment you don't feel that flow, like when you are in the flow state, you don't have to be told what to do. You just go. You just do it. You just post it. You just ship it. You just build it. You just say it. You just partner. But if you can't just flow, that's because there's an interruption in your signal. Okay? So, emotional static is one of those interruptions. Environmental noise is another one. I literally have environmental noise around me right now. But I have my focus of my mission, my vision, my purpose is keeping me grounded and it's keeping me steady. But I can feel the interruption. And if I'm not steady in what it is that I'm trying to do, then I would let that interruption stagnate my momentum. But I will not. Okay. Or a third interruption. So we've done emotional static, environmental noise. A third interruption is input overload. So sometimes we're taking too many courses, reading too many books, watching too many videos, listening to too many audio, whatever, right? Getting too much feedback from people without actually outputting things. So when you have an input, you have to output it. It's like eating constantly, but never releasing the excess, right? Some of it is good and it goes into your bloodstream and it produces good things. You got the vitamins, you got the minerals that are going into your body, but then there's excess. Like not everything that goes into your body is actually going to be useful, right? So that's the same thing with when we're listening to courses or we're listening to whatever expert you've been listening to. Even music, not all music is beneficial to your energetic system. Not all music or movies that you watch is beneficial to you producing the highest version of your God self, right? Whatever that is. And especially because it's Mother's Day, as mothers, the mothers of our systems, the mothers of our civilizations, the mothers of our household, we really have to be particular on what we're putting into our body, into our systems, because if we're putting in toxins, what we feed our children, what we feed our husbands, what we feed our systems, what we feed our bills, what we feed our civilizations is going to be toxic. So we especially have a high regard for responsibility and what we are inputting into our system and ensuring that we are properly managing the excess and detoxifying ourselves on multiple levels so that we can continue to be in flow state, so we can continue to be divine, so that we can continue not to be merged in and drowned out by signals that are not godly. Okay, come on now. This is what we're talking about here. This is the difference between being AI and HI. Because truly HI is because we have God and spirit in one. That's what really makes us human. That's the hue behind our man. That's the color behind who we are. That's God spirit. That's frequency. Okay, that's vibe. That is the vibe code. Is where if you don't have the power, if you don't have the differentiation of your color, of your aura, then you have no vibe to put in the code. That is so deep. You have no vibe to put in the code. So what I'm trying to encourage you is to ensure that you are staying in the lane so you can continue to be vibrant, so you can continue to be brilliant enough to have value for the next eons to come. Okay? And then another interruption is unclear pathways. So sometimes when we are going into new arenas or new frequencies, some of the steps that we are taking are way too big. Like you might be going from a very non-tech background at all to trying to literally build a digital world overnight, and you haven't even learned how to build a wireframe, or you haven't even learned how to notate properly. You don't even know how to build a mind map, right? Like there are some steps that are in between that's going to make what you're creating easier. But sometimes we get interrupted in the flow because we're trying to take steps that we're not ready for. It's kind of like going from complete self sabotage to getting married the next month. You haven't even learned how to take care of yourself first. What you trying to go marry somebody else for? It's almost guaranteed you're going to have issues in your marriage, right? Like you shouldn't even be trying to get in a relationship with anybody. The relationship you need to have is with yourself. Get out the bed, close your legs, boo. Close your legs and open your mind, open your heart, open your spirit, and that's where you need to start. Okay. And so oftentimes we're trying to take these big old jumps, big old leaps, and then we end up with more than what we can handle because we weren't being wise for what we're ready for. So you got to be clear. But if you know what your mission, your vision, and your purpose is, and the values that you have to offer, then you can say, okay, based on my vision and the mission that I have set forth for the next 6 months, for the next 3 months, for the next 2 weeks, this is what is realistic for me to do within that time. And so that's how you can declutter the cluttered pathways that are not clear. Okay. And then the fifth interruption in your signal is nervous system fatigue. So sometimes you are doing too much, going too far, too fast. And you haven't taken time to rest. You haven't taken time to break. You haven't taken time to have fun. You haven't taken time to reflect and actually see what's working. Sometimes we have a plan and you get so, especially our mamas out there, okay? When we're running a household and we are running our families, we got the schedules, we got everything. We say, boom, A, B, C, D, E. The kids got this going on. I need to be here for husband. We got date night. I got to cook. I got to boom, boom. I got to clean. You know, I need to have my own things that I need to do for myself. But sometimes, a lot of times, mothers put yourself on a back burner and you're doing everything for the husband, run a husband's business, running a kid's business, and you haven't taken care of your own business, like making sure that your uterus is good, right? Making sure that your heart is good, right? taking time to sleep, taking time to take care of your skin, take care of your hair. When was the last time you really did your hair? You're covering up all the time, but did you do your hair? Have you shown your hair love? You know your hair has electrical signals. That's part of our superpower, right? So that nervous system fatigue is a sign. Oh, it's time to pray. That nervous system fatigue is a sign that sometimes you need to stop and pray. Sometimes you need to stop and meditate. Maybe go on a meditation retreat. Maybe go on a silence retreat. Go to the park. Take time to think. Take time to write. Take time to do some art. Okay? And reset that nervous system. Okay, so we talked about those interruption points. And so if you don't fix and identify where the interruption is happening and why it's happening, it's going to take you through a cycle that repeats. Okay. And this is so high level because it happens on multiple different domains. Okay. Like some people believe in having to be reborn if you didn't get the lesson. This is a very similar thing. And your frequency, when you are trying to elevate and evolve, that is going to a new frequency. So you are going to get static and you're going to get challenges and it's going to test who you say you are and what you think you could do. You will be tested, guaranteed. And if you are not prepared, you will be taken through a loop. So you'll get the interruption. That's the signal. Okay. That your signal, there's an interruption in your signal of that flow state. Okay. And then what happens is it disrupts you and it breaks your clarity. It breaks your task. It breaks your focus. And then what happens? You start to feel overwhelmed. Your energy is drained. And then you start to get discouraged. Okay. And then what happens is you restart. You say, okay, maybe I missed something. Let me start the same thing over again. And then what happens is you get fragmented in attention, and then another interruption comes. And eventually, if you don't break this cycle, what happens is you stop completely and give up. And so that's what we are going to interrupt. We're going to interrupt that state today. Okay. So I want to, before we recap, I got my slides a little bit out of order. Is That's okay. We'll just go here. You want to protect your signal. Okay. So preserve the clarity, guard your frequency. A clear signal is so fragile. It's kind of like a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly in the chrysalis stage. When you got that signal, you've got to protect it. It's a vulnerable state. And sometimes what happens where we allow the interruptions to come in is we start telling everybody this signal. People who have not been qualified or initiated for that information. Not everybody is supposed to get the signal that you got. The signal is for you to take action based off of your mission, based off of who you are, based off of what God has told you to do. And not everybody gets the same papers. Okay? So the way you can protect your signal is by protecting your environment. Not everything deserves access to you. So if people are not vibrating on your frequency, you will know because they will have the same language. They will have the same mission. They will have the same vision, the same purpose, the same values. If they don't share your mission, your vision, your purpose, your values, most likely they need a very limited amount of access because if not, then it's a high possibility that they're going to drop you into a lower state, which when you drop into a lower state, you're going to get that static. You're going to feel the interruptions. Okay. And then another way to protect your signal is to protect your energy. So your energy is your signal's fuel, meaning you need to eat properly. You need to get sunlight. You need to get proper sleep. You need to guard your attention. You need to watch what you're watching. Guard what's going into your gates and to all of your gates. You absolutely cannot just go lay and open up your body to anybody. This may be a time where If you're not in a relationship, that you need to be celibate, abstinent, until someone who is deserving of that frequency and that can help to increase that power where you guys can become one in that type of state. Okay? Seriously, it's real out here in these streets. You don't want to be messing around with your energy when you're trying to build in a time where you either create or become created, where you build something that's going to go or you get left. Okay? Seriously. So you need to be able to say no without guilt. And anyone who tries to make you feel guilty, that is a telltale sign that they are not worthy of your frequency. Okay. And then make sure that you are constantly doing checks to see if you are aligned with your mission, your vision, your purpose, and your values. Okay. And then the third thing that you could do to protect your signal is protect your intention. So you need to have a clear intention. Write it down. Okay. Write your intentions down. Like, I'm constantly taking notes. I do digital notes too, but this contains my energy. So when I read it back, I'm not only reading my words, but I'm reading my frequency. I'm picking up frequency states that are embedded in my handwriting. Okay. This is ancient technology right here. Pen and paper. This is ancient technology. Don't discount the power of writing with hand, because it is so much more than just letters and numbers. Symbols are symbols for a reason. Shapes are shapes for a reason, because every stroke carries a frequency. And you need to think about that when you're laying down with people too. Okay? Do they have power strokes? Godly strokes. If not, you will know by the strokes of their tongue, by the strokes of their word, by the strokes of their consistency. If they cannot be consistent in their actions, then the power of everything else they do with strokes is probably going to be lacking in power too. Don't be laying down with somebody who can't be consistent with what they said they're going to do. Not unless you want to integrate inconsistent frequencies into your whole body. I'm just telling you, heads up. So return to your why, return to your mission, your vision, your purpose often, at least once a week, look at it. But I think it's good to look at what your mission, your vision, your purpose is every day. Wake up and read it and say, this is my mission. This is who I am. This is what I'm here to do. This is what I'm going to create for my family. This is the type of wife that I am. This is the type of mother that I am. These are the type of systems that I'm creating and why I'm creating them. This is the world that I am building, right? You got to remind yourself of these things every day before when you wake up and when you go to bed. Let those be the things that instigate your day, that influence your day. Before you go on Instagram and Instagram's algorithm tells you what to think. Okay? Even people that you respect, they don't know you internally like God does. But God has given you a signal for your life. So you need to be having that on repeat more than anything else, more than anybody else's word. You should have the word of God within yourself that is telling you who you are and what you should be doing today. Period. Okay? So remember that discipline protects what motivation starts. You are the keeper of your signal. So anytime there's an interruption, it is your job to figure out what needs to be realigned. Don't go out blaming anybody else or anything else, because otherwise it makes you not a God. Okay? So let's just recap real quick with a signal. Your signal is technically the word of God in your life on what you need to build and how you need to build it and how you need to redirect your actions or to direct them. Okay? And the reflection is you need to see if there's an interruption, if you are not flowing, you need to reflect on why you are not flowing. Are you going into an unproductive loop that's taking you on a downward spiral versus an upward spiral towards something that is producing a harvest, that's producing a living body of work, a living body of children, physically, spiritually, emotionally, right? As creators, what are you creating? These signals are signals of what to create. If you are not creating, then you are not in your God state. Period. Every day you should be working towards creating something, and not just in your mind. How are you taking it from your mind and bringing it forth into real time? Okay. And then the third is action. How are you executing this signal? How are you executing what you have been divinely signaled towards with what's been interrupted in your signal? Huh? And how are you redirecting that? So this is how you stop restarting and how you can stay in momentum. You need to be clear when you're getting a signal, understand when it's being interrupted, identify the interruption, and correct the interruption. Okay? And that's pretty much what I have for you today. So I'm building a brand new system this week, building towards this specifically. Okay? And building new maps is going to really help you to activate these realities um, so that you don't get stagnant. And this is going to be my new fire starter gold map system. Okay, I'm so glad that you guys joined me today. Don't let interruptions keep you from being consistent. Don't let interruptions in love, don't let interruptions in money, don't let interruptions in your system and AI keep you from being consistent. Sometimes consistency does not mean you're doing the same thing. Consistency means you are consistently going on the path that God set you on to create the world that God created you to design and make. That's the consistency. And sometimes that means changing the way you do things. Sometimes that means changing the patterns. But let me bring back up these five interruptions again, just so you can remember, okay? When you are in the flow state and all of a sudden you feel the flow stop, identify what is keeping you from stopping. Is it emotional static, environmental noise, input overload, unclear pathways, or nervous system fatigue? When you figure that out, don't stop there. Figure out how to reverse it because they're clues. They're clues that are letting you know. Oh, I didn't put it up on. Oh, yeah, you can see it. Those are clues that are letting you know what has been out of alignment. It's actually a gift. It's a gift. Anytime something seems like it's not going your way, look at it as a gift and say, God, what is the gift in this situation? And how is it actually going to help me to become more powerful in my God state? That's that's the magic right there. Take control of your life, take control of your world, and blame nothing or no one for anything that is not going your way. Be God in this state. Okay? All right. Stay tuned. Follow me this week, you guys, so you can see the new system builds that is going to help activate this. This is what we need to keep us grounded as we're building our AI tools, as we're building our systems. Okay? This is really my lane. This is my flow. I'm a coach. Okay? I know tech, but I know spirit more. This is my specialty, and I'm here to help you guys. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining. And I will be here live again next week, same time, same place. Peace, y'all.